do we want to talk now about why we started this?
Yes. Drum roll. Here we go. Welcome to the first Women of Wisdom YouTube video that we're doing. That was said really well, eh, girls?
Yeah.
So this whole thing is the brainchild of one of you two. I don't know who was it that decided that this would be a really good thing to do?
I thought it was all three of us when we were talking.
It was just, again, a conversation that started, one thing led to another.
Yes.
Awesome. Okay. So it is the brainchild of all of us.
Yes.
And we want to deliver on a weekly basis wisdom from our age, and to let younger people know what they really need to know, and to also let women of our age, whatever that might be, women of our age, realize that you can do anything you want and start anything you want at any time of your life.
Yes.
That's the point of this.
My philosophy on age is it's only the amount of years I've been sparkling on this earth. That is it.
And I love you always see sparkle.
Right. There is nothing that should be, oh, you're too old for that.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, really.
And
I mean, people say that. Like, I wonder why people say that. Oh, you're too old for that. What does that actually mean?
Do you think it's from the past? Like, I think of my grandmother. I loved her to death. She passed when she was 97, but right at the age of 65, she retired. And then she, so for 30 something years, she was retired and did those retired things, and I don't think it's like that anymore.
Definitely not.
No.
Definitely not.
And I remember my grandmother, and I thought when you got to that age in your 50s, like you had blue hair and you had a little string of pearls and you walked around and you had tea. Like, that's what my visions and my memory is of my grandmother was. And, I'm at her age and hell no. I do own pearls.
We should all wear pearls next time.
I have pearls too.
We should all wear pearls.
I think I have my grandmother's pearls. So yes, I think I have pearls.
It was this vision of what aging was. And I'm really happy I'm living in this era where aging isn't the same.
Yeah, I think that's what happened though. I think people sort of got put out to pasture. Like, you were like your usefulness in terms of what society deemed you as being useful for, kind of like you're finished. It's like, you're done. We don't really know what to do with you. So just kind of go off someplace and, knit and crochet and, just kind of don't really do anything. And I'm with you, Tracy. I think it's amazing that we at this stage of our lives, and I'm the oldest here in the group, can turn around and say, I want to do ... and then just go and do it. Right. Because we've got, there are so many resources out there. There's so much help out there. It's just phenomenal. Like, there isn't any reason why we can't do whatever it is that we want to do. Really, there isn't.
Right. And I think though, that if you didn't live before in that time when it really resources and tools and all of the automation, all of that stuff is available to you, you think it's quite hard. But from our perspective, knowing what you starting a business before, how much money it would take, how much time and effort before you even could think of seeing any result, and now the difference of what is available at your fingertips. At your fingertips.
No.
I also think we also started talking about this because we also talked about if we told ourselves this 20 years ago, none of us regret anything in our lives, but just like we wish that we would have listened. Like, we had this knowledge now and we picked it up and we moved it. And, as we talk, and we'll be going into our intros and everything, but, what we've gone through in our past, good, bad, the ugly, the best, the children, the marriages, whatever it is, it just helps formulate you to the next chapter of your life.
Mhm. Yeah. And I think also as coaches, we all have that ability um, to look back on things and choose to rewrite our past if we want, and also to be able to unravel the stories that we tell ourselves and challenge that as to whether or not this stuff is really true, or
Right.
am I just making this stuff up, right? And I think that is what allows us to expand and become the people that we are today as well.
Right.
Exactly. It's exactly, we're taking those limiting beliefs and we're squashing them.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And that's
Well,
what's so great
wouldn't
about this.
Sorry, I was just gonna say, wouldn't that be wonderful, like Michelle said, to have had that tool or that resource in your 20s and just
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
not,
killed for it. Killed for it. God. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I look at my daughter who's a coach and she's like, I don't know, just 30 something. She'll appreciate that I said that, just 30 something. I mean, I just think, wow, like all the resources and all the things that you know now on how to work through your own brain, work through work through problems, help other people do the same thing. And, you know, she's just had a baby. So it's like, you know, what she's going to be able to bring from a parenting standpoint to that
Mhm.
little person is just incredible, right? I mean, we all do what we do as best as we can. And it's not like, you know, anybody is like damaged as a result of anything, but it's like, you know, the more knowledge you have, the more you can use it, the more you
Mhm.
can give to, you know, everybody that's out there that you want to give to. So ultimately that's what it's about. Yeah. Okay, gorgeous. Who are you?
Huh?
Who are you?
What do you mean? Oh, you want me to go with my intro?
Sure.
Okay. Like, what are you talking about? So, we're all going to take a little bit so you could get to know us a little bit about our backgrounds and where we come from. And you were going to see we're 3 unique people who have really bonded this friendship over through a mastermind we're in and just talking about life. We started talking about life, I don't know, like a month ago, and we end up in these serious conversations and almost crying laughter. So, okay. Hi, I'm Michele. I reside in the Midwest, but I'm originally from the East Coast. And while out in the Midwest here, I get teased all the time. They tell me I have an accent. I tell them I don't. They tell me they do. I tell them all, they are the one with the accent. I'm the one who talks right. I've been here about 12 years. I did come out for my job. I'm no longer in that position. Growing up, I was a child of divorce in the 60s when divorce was really not a common thing. Not that divorce is a good thing now, but it wasn't something that was common back as I was growing up. Growing up, my mom had remarried. I have a wonderful stepfather who treated me like his daughter, and I did have a relationship with my dad. So, but for many years in my household, it was like a negative environment. There was always something wrong. Like whatever happened, there was always like this negative undertone, that always was happening. And that always like fed into self-doubt, anxieties, just different things. And I ended up being the person that made everything okay. Like I wasn't the nice one. I didn't like confrontation. I'm the one who made everything hunky-dory, and that took a lot of energy out of me. And then married very young. I have 2 children. That marriage did not work out. Probably married too young. Married a second time, ended up with 2 wonderful stepdaughters. And that also didn't work. But I started to grow. I started to find Michele. I built a career in a very male-dominated field, and I found my voice, my strength. But still internally, I was still that people pleaser, And I always had that thought, I wasn't good enough. I could do better, all of that. And I went to therapy to try to make me a better person to others, not to me, but to others. And I really found the right therapist that really helped me. Was high anxiety, extreme anxiety. I was on meds to get through my day and meds to sleep through the night. And that's not me. That's, as you both know me, that is not the person I am now. And I slowly found my voice, and I found how to relate to toxic relationships, whether it was a romantic, family, friends. And that's when my life really started to move in the direction I wanted it to, because I started to peel that onion away, and I started to build the Michele that I always knew was down in the bottom of that onion, or the final layer, or whatever that was. As I was going through all of this and building that, my mom passed from cancer in 2016. An amazing woman, suffered from cancer for 19 years. I watched this woman's strength that was unbelievable. Shortly after that, I helped my stepdad. He was a man who, my mom took care of everything. She was head of that household, everything. I remember writing on the wall by the wash machine, how to turn it on, how to put the laundry, like everything. We had to teach him how to write a check, the whole thing. He ended up with cancer. So I was running back and forth to Florida, helping with the care of him. I, in 2019, had a head-on collision, walked away from it, grace of God. 3 days later, I lost my stepfather to cancer. And a week after that, I lost my dad suddenly. He passed. So in a matter of 21 days, my life was turned upside down. I spent a lot of last year healing. I didn't have a position. Started working with you guys in the mastermind, building my coaching business. And then I started to do things I've always wanted to do. One, I am in a very healthy, wonderful relationship. I just finished in October the Devil's Den Ultra Run, which was a trail race in Vermont. It was, the first 2 miles was straight up 1,400 feet to the top of this mountain, beautiful overlook. And then it was a 6-mile loop. And I had never done anything like this. I do have a son. My youngest son is a race director and an endurance runner, him and his wife. So he was the race director of it. And it really sparked or ignited my passion in standing on that mountain, yelling at women over 50, do whatever you want. There is no limit to what you could be doing. And that's my goal. I teach women at a later age, like, how to get that mindset. It's never too late. I work, moving your body, having that meditation, that journaling, and all of that. And I refuse to look at age in any way as a stumbling block. So that is Michele.
Yay, Michele.
Yeah, Michele. All right, which of the Tracys? That's so funny because you're Tracy, I'm Tracy. So I can go first if you want. Take it away.
Take it away.
All right, I'm Tracy. And my story is My story is wonderful, actually. I grew up in Ontario, Canada, still live here right now. I actually live in an area that when I was a little girl, we were fortunate enough to have a cottage up near Lake Huron, and we would go spend our summers up there. And I can remember driving through this particular area that I currently live in right now. And as a little girl, I remember telling myself at one point in my life, I would live here. And here I am. So that's pretty awesome. My parents were absolutely incredible individuals. They had a wonderful marriage. My mom passed way too young. I was in my 20s when she passed away. My husband and I have actually dealt with a lot of loss in our life. He has been the love of my life ever since I laid eyes on him when he was a baby, really. We used to be next door neighbors. Seriously, there is a picture of the two of us that is in a little kiddie pool, and we both have diapers on. That's how far we go back. So, yeah. And interesting, I know. And interestingly enough, his parents used to rent a cottage near where my parents were. They became best friends, and they would spend part of their summer up at the cottage all the time. And I can remember telling my girlfriend when I was like 8 years old that I was going to marry him at some point in my life. So probably from the time I was 8 on, I, bugged him every year, like, let's get married. So he finally said, okay. And we got married when I was in my early 20s. And when we got married, his dad was dying of cancer. So he lost his dad, very early in life as well. I lost my mom a few years later. And then his mom came and lived with us. She had had a stroke, and so she came and lived with us until she passed. So I was very fortunate to have her as a part of my life, because she was really the mom that I lost in a lot of ways. But I was privileged to look after her. And in that space of time, I had my daughter, and we had a pretty good relationship up until she was in her late teens, and then things kind of went real south for the two of us. We got through all of that, and we have a wonderful relationship. In fact, we're in business together as life coaches, helping new coaches, get off the ground and get going. And during all of that time, I basically, for the last 30 some odd years, I've had my own company, and I was in telecommunications, complete left turn from what I'm doing right now. But again, very male dominated industry, like you, Michele, that you mentioned. It was a hard go, because there wasn't a lot of females doing what I was doing. But I was very successful at it, loved it, loved the challenges that it presented, loved doing that analytical, detailed work. And then I sort of came to a crossroads in my life where I had to decide whether or not I was going to continue in telecommunications or I was going to do something else. And it meant that I was going to have to spend quite a bit of money to continue in telecommunications. And I just thought, I'm not sure I really want to make that investment at this point in my life. And that wasn't that long ago, probably about 5 years ago again. So I'm like 60-ish at that point. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to become a coach. I'm not ready to hang up the tool belt quite yet. And I want to do something else. So I decided that I was going to be a coach, and went through certification for that. And yeah, one of the best decisions I ever made. And like you, Michele, it's about that, it's okay to keep going and doing whatever it is that you want. It's okay to, to have goals and aspirations regardless of your age, because really it is totally up to you and how you want to define your life, right? It's just, that's it. So, I mean, tons of different things in my life. I donated my liver to my sister-in-law, who was very ill. And I did that about, I don't know how many years ago that is, probably about 17 years ago. And unfortunately, she passed. The operation was successful for a year, and then she passed. And I did a marathon in that year after that. I think there's something about going into that experience that kind of makes you really realize what life is truly about. As corny as that sounds, but sometimes you have to do those kinds of things when you're faced with, you know, a life and death experience like that, really. Much the
Yes.
same as your car accident, Michelle, right? It's
Exactly.
like all of a
Right.
sudden it's like, whoa, you know, you kind of get hit over the head. It's and I guess probably the biggest message for that is that you don't have to get hit over the head. Don't wait for something really enormous to happen before you decide, okay, you know, I'm awake, I'm here. So yeah, so that's it. And I know that our stories will unravel the more that we are talking and the more that we share and all of those good things. But I will now pass the floor over to you, Tracy. Drum roll.
Yeah, here's the other Tracy, and I'm West Coast, born and raised in Vancouver, Canada, and still live in a suburb outside of Vancouver. And yeah, I'm Michelle. Interesting. I'm from divorced parents, and at a time when divorce was so taboo. But they really emphasized that it was something between them and not their children, and really just showed a lot of love to us and made sure we understood that we're a family. It's just slightly different. And that seems to be a running on theme with my life if I look back, because my mom also was, I don't know, I guess a woman's liver, because she really, really didn't see any fences. She didn't see any obstacles in getting what she wanted. And she, one of her stories to me was that when she decided how much money she wanted to make in her life, and at a time when women didn't go into male-dominated industries, which she did, she said, the thing I did wrong was I put the wrong number. I should have made it more, because what she realized, I can do anything. And so she's always instilled that into me. And yeah, I lost her. If we're talking about our losses, which is terrible, that we, you know, obviously at our age, we've gone through quite a few of them. I lost my sister to breast cancer. I lost my mom to cancer, and I lost my father to cancer. I then wound up getting breast cancer and got through that. So cancer and me, that word just, I just don't like giving it any energy. And you know, got through all of that stuff. And again, those life moments where you go, should I be doing more? Is this really the life I should be living? If, you know, it gets taken away, do I feel good of what I've done? And so I too kind of made some new choices in what I wanted to do. I have an amazing husband, and I have two wonderful, wonderful daughters. And I went, you know what? We're at a stage that I can put a lot of energy in me. I've done putting my energy into the family. Everyone's good. They're good. They can survive without having mom, I don't know, maybe micromanaging them a little bit. And so I decided that, you know what, my husband and I have this digital marketing agency, and all our clients are male. All of our clients are manufacturers. So it's a very male dominated business, which is fine. And my husband is amazing in it, but I wanted to have a little female energy. So I went, you know what, I think I'm going to just, you know, step back from the day-to-day operations and move more towards bringing my expertise to women. And really, I was looking at women over 50 that were looking to start a business and weren't sure how to do it or needed a little help. So, you know, my area of expertise is tech, all of that stuff, digital marketing, SEO, that type of stuff. And I really saw that there was women that wanted their voice heard. And I really feel like, Michelle, again, we go back to getting your voice heard. And I think when you're younger, you don't realize that by squashing it, it's not a good thing. You need to get your voice out there. And I'm just really thankful that I figured it out at 50. Like,
yeah,
I still have time to get my voice out there.
And that's so important, our voice, and we have time. the day's gonna go by anyways. Like,
Yeah.
the 24 hours is going by. Just because you hit a certain age doesn't mean time doesn't stand still. Like,
Yeah.
it's still happening.
Thanks for watching, and we hope to see you as a regular member of our community.